Okay, so like the second part video thing that I want to do that really doesn't have to do with necessarily the CEO, like Brian Thompson incident specifically, but more of just like the healthcare industry or health insurance industry in general. Because honestly, I feel like a better use of everyone's time would be to use this opportunity to talk about everything that's wrong with our healthcare system and why it's so like completely fucked up, right? And like health insurance in the US, the reason why everyone's so mad is because health insurance in the US is such a scam. Let's just call it what it is. Like, there is no other like industry slash service in the US that you could pay like thousands of dollars a year for. Assuming that's just you, like maybe a partner. I don't know how expensive it gets with like kids, but thousands of dollars a year, right, on average. And they can actively refuse to do the job you pay them for. Like, if you went to like a mechanic and you paid them to fix something in your engine, I'm trying to do a really poor analogy here, right? So that you paid your mechanic to fix something in your engine, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, but like pistons aren't covered in what you paid for, even though it's clearly part of the engine. Like, we don't do that. You have to pay this extra fee for us to do that, or we're just not going to cover it. And you got to pay out of pocket." Like, what kind of microtransaction hell did we develop here? Like, this pay to play, like, this is not good when it's in video games. How did we end up doing it for health insurance where people like need stuff to survive? Like, or like you don't get your insulin and you're dead. You don't get chemotherapy for cancer, you're dead. Like, or even if it's not like a life or death thing, like you don't get your knee replacement or hip replacement. And not only does it affect your quality of life of like what you can do, like spending time with like your family, your friends, your kids, your grandkids, going out like hiking, even walking around your house, like that's very negatively affected, even though it's not a life or death situation. The idea that we've turned this into like those like phone app games that are like just trying to get your money and press spend as much time as there as possible so I can show you as many ads. That's how essentially our healthcare system runs. It's so fucked up, right? And the other thing I always thought was kind of fucked up about healthcare in the U.S., especially when I was working in like a hospital or on the ambulance where I was a paramedic, would be like the people who have private insurance will like actively like dump on the people who are on Medicare or like any kind of public healthcare for poor people, because they get mad that the if the poor people who are in government healthcare get better coverage than what they pay for, they'll be like, "Oh, look at that person. They're going to get all their medication and proper healthcare because Medicaid, or I don't remember if it's Medicaid or Medicaid, uh, will cover it, and my private health care insurance won't. So let's be mad at the poor people." It's like, bro, why aren't you mad at your health insurance company for providing you a substandard service, uh, or like less quality service when you're paying out of pocket than what the government has? And if that's what you're mad about, like in a competitive free market, wouldn't you want the better service? So isn't that a argument for public healthcare? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think if anything, with the backlash from the incident of the CEO getting unalived, maybe we're starting to get to the point where people are starting to blame the people actually responsible, like the insurance companies, instead of the poor people on like Medicaid that are just trying to like, survive and maybe get their, go to emergency room, get their UTI treated or their whatever medication they need picked up, instead of acting like they're the problem when the problem has always been the health insurance company being run, or yeah, health insurance company being run for profit is just a really bad idea. I think we've done it for, I don't know, like, was it like 20 years since they made it that you can be, or oh no, it's probably more than that. I keep forgetting it's not the 90s. But it's been a while since we did the whole Reaganomics thing of like removing like safety, not safety, but like deregulating a lot of industries to make it more like Shark Tank economics where you can just exploit people super easy. I think we've proved in the last 40 years that that's not a good idea. Maybe we should start like rolling that back instead of doubling down on it. Because not admitting we made a mistake is good. Not admitting we make a mistake is just gonna get worse, right? But I think until like the mainstream or main media starts acknowledging that, the ruling upper class people in charge start acknowledging that the healthcare system is the reason people are mad and is the reason people are sympathetic towards the suspect, things like not only will it not change, like I think most of the healthcare or health insurance industry slash CEOs, they're just trying to lie low until this dies down, and then they might change a few policies, but they can go back to business as usual in like a couple years and go back to making billions of dollars with no repercussions or backlash. And that's more of what people are mad about than like the actual thing is like they like all the people are talking about how like, oh, murder's wrong, like unaliving is wrong, you shouldn't condone that. And I think most people acknowledge that. They realize it. They're like, no, we're not saying this is right. I think it's more of like it's seen as like kind of karma because the health insurance companies have been getting away with like playing God over people's lives for so many years now with zero accountability from any kind of official capacity. Trying to get it through the system is very hard. It's designed to be hard. It's designed to make you get frustrated and want to quit, right? So the idea that this might be the only form of accountability that we might see as a general public is more of what people are celebrating than the idea of like, oh yeah, unaliving people is okay. No, that's not what it's about. But again, until like the more main media and general perception of it or coverage of it changes to that view and starts acknowledging that, we're not going to see anything. Like healthcare CEOs, they're just waiting for this to die down. And in a couple of years, they'll go back to business as usual of trying to like make billions of dollars off people's lives. So, I don't know if that's super coherent or what everyone else's opinions on it, but that's just kind of like my random thoughts as a very, very non-expert layperson. So yeah.